My communication's like all right.
Okay.
It's getting better over time, but at the beginning of last season, because like the season before, I was just thrown in there with like a bunch of seniors who all like knew
Yep.
each other for like years.
Yep.
I was just existing.
Yeah.
But now that I'm captain, I just need to talk more, and I've
Okay.
been getting there. I've joined a team right now
Yeah.
over the off season,
Okay.
and I've been communicating
All
more.
right, good, good. I think the way I look at communication is it's not so much about, this is something I've talked about before. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. And that sounds,
Mhm.
well, obviously. But if I were to ask you as a tank player, what do you need to be communicating? Let's just even narrow it down further. As a Winston player, what should you be communicating? What is inarguably has to be communicated?
Dives,
Sure.
mostly.
That's it, right? When I'm going in and when I'm going
Mhm.
out, right?
Yeah.
And if you could call that, that's 90% of Winston communication. Target focus, things like that, careful, there's somebody over here, let's ult track, whatever. That's all fine and good. But if you're not calling when you're going in and when you're going out, then you're screwed. And I've worked with a lot of tank
Yeah.
players that aren't very chatty, but you know what? They call when they go in and they call when they go out, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So I think communicating more is good, but it needs to be the right type of communication. And if you're never like the super chatty Kathy, like I'm the super chatty like leader guy, that's fine. You don't have to be a good tank. You really don't have to be. You just need to know what you must call and make sure that you're calling that. So I wanted to add one extra little point with the communication here. Obviously, this review is on Winston specifically, but the keys to communication, whether you're choosing to use voice chat or not in a ranked, is understanding what your hero needs to communicate. And I think that's the difficult part. It's not so much opening your mouth, but as in figuring out what do I need to actually be communicating. For example, as an Ana player, generally communicating where you're positioned and when you're going to be looking for nade and nano, that's generally good enough. Even nade is not something that you often need to call, more of an opportunity thing. But nano, certainly, definitely call that one. If you're playing a diva player, when you're pressuring, when you're peeling back, when you want to go in, when you're using a diva bomb as an engage, there's actually relatively few things per hero that require communication. For example, as a Zenyatta player, I find that a lot of the times my communication is almost just my positioning and maybe how I want to use trance, and that's pretty much it. I don't need to be calling my discords. In fact, my discord should be more along the lines of who I see or hear my enemy team or my team calling out and already shooting. I shouldn't be calling that. Sometimes calling things out like I got orb menu tracer can be helpful, but generally that's something that they should be assuming on anyway, and then they can react to that audio cue. They don't need me telling them that, right? So again, it's about quality, not quantity. And the reason why it's also so important to narrow that down is because when you try to communicate too many things, you often end up missing the most important things. For example, if I'm so focused on communicating my harmony and my discord and this and that, then maybe I'm not positioning myself well, or I forget to call out my positioning, or I forget to call out my trance. It's not just about communicating too much makes you communicate worse because you're obfuscating the important things with not so important calls. But also when you're communicating a lot, and I don't know if it's just me, maybe it's other people as well, I generally distract myself from thinking about the game. So that's why a lot of times I even find myself when I communicate less, I play better. So I'm not saying you shouldn't communicate necessarily, but that's why communicating fewer things is really important. So you can focus on your gameplay, you can focus on calling the things you need to call, and you can open up your brain more space to actually play the game properly. So anyway, I just want to add that one on there. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I guess Spilo out.